everyone. Welcome to another weekly update number 5. Can't believe this is my 5th week here, telling you all about how much I've written. So the word count this week is ending at 33,388. So I'm very happy to be well into the 3rd chapter. I realize that word count is a lot for the small amount of chapters, but this includes a lot of pre-writing I'm doing, brainstorming, outlining. So I do imagine that this novel will go well over 100,000 words, and then when I really trim it all back, we'll get down to the core of it. But very happy to have written, just shy of 4,000 words this week. So let's crack into it. I want to make this as short and as concise as I can because this week I wrote a chapter where I was really struggling with some character dialogue. I wrote this last week and it carried on into this week, but I had some really great insights, generated some really fun moral conflict between my two characters and had them kind of hash it out together. So on the theme of moral conflict, I wanted to talk about AI. I want to just stand with my feet firmly in the ground about where I stand. This can be seen as a reference point from the future, my opinion on the matter and my beliefs. So whenever I see something out in the world that has a very strong polarization, I tend to be very resistant to polarization. I get very cautious of anyone who's saying this is evil, anyone saying this is the future. We are limited by how much information we can process. So this is what I think is my nuanced standing on how AI can be used in art, in our lives as a tool, or is it going to be the end of all humanity? So firstly, I think it is a very powerful tool. It's a very new tool, and we don't understand the ramifications of this tool. And we can compare it to the early days of the internet when it came out and we were kind of using the internet in a cartoonish exaggeration of how we use the real world. So we were sending faxes, so emails kind of replaced faxes. And then we were able to put videos up there, and in the beginning it was this circus, and it was being misused in some ways, and people were finding new ways to use it. AI will be no different. We've just had this technology explode out of nowhere. Companies have lapped it up and incorporated it into their software, into their hardware, and what we see is the early days of AI, where we're stumbling through and just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what will stick. Now, from a writing perspective and a creative perspective, in my opinion, nothing is going to replace truly human output. And it's not because humans will be doing it better. It's not because an AI can't create something that a human could create. It's just because we as humans, we want to see human creations. We marvel at things that humans do. And even when humans are operating machines and writing computer code, and that computer code is doing something, when we think about how we reacted to AI, what is this program? This is amazing. Who built it? How did this come into being? So we will never be able to get rid of the human element of admiring art and beauty in the world. And I do believe that the more the AI creates, it will be interesting. It will probably be very informative. It will teach us things, but it won't be able to fully replace human output. So I have no worries about this. And even if it did in some way, then as a creator, as an artist, keep creating stuff. Don't let this idea that somehow the only reason you're creating your art is because a computer is not able to yet. No, that's not why you write. It's not why you make things. You make them because you're being called to in some way. So that's not going to change either. I do see it as a very useful tool, as an analytical tool, as a pattern recognition tool. It's going to probably give everyone their own personal assistant that will be really effective. This is something that the middle and lower classes have never had access to. Someone to create meal plans for them, to schedule their appointments, to screen their emails and so on. And I think this is where the technology will go. It will just take a service that's currently only held as something that you can pay a human to do, and it will make it accessible to the rest of us. Um, this seems inevitable. This is what technology does. We don't cry out for the loss of the TV repairman anymore. We're happy that our TV works. So AI will be giving us a lot of great advances in how we interact and live with technology. But I'm not afraid of the loss of art. We are getting very good at sniffing out AI, and its interest is down. You look at it, oh, that's AI. You see some insane video, it kind of has lost its luster when you know that it's AI. So that's my 2 cents. Not too worried about it. Be interesting to see the space. I think stealing from people to train the AI models, big no-no. That shouldn't be happening. I do not support that at all. I do not support that Meta used pirated information to train its AI model. Haven't used that, won't be using that, against it. I have used ChatGPT. To my knowledge, I don't know of any like specific lawsuit against ChatGPT about them using pirated information to train their model, but I have used it to get feedback on my writing, and I want to go into a little bit of detail about that process and show you where I stand on it, the pros and the cons, if you will. So I put my writing into ChatGPT and I said, eviscerate this writing. I want you to be extremely critical and tell me what I'm doing wrong and how I can do better. And I put the writing in and it spat out an answer. And I thought, that's interesting. Okay, I can use that. I can do that. So I went and I adjusted the writing. I put the adjustment in. What do you think? Eviscerated it. Extremely critical once more. I did this 2 more times and then realized, oh, I told it to be extremely critical of my writing. So all it's going to do is be extremely critical of the writing. In this way, I feel like I used it as a souped up Grammarly, as a spell checker that could also check for context, and theme, and pacing, and these qualities that spell checker can't do. This was doing that, but I gave it the wrong prompt, and then it just kind of lost its luster. The prompts, I then realized I had to change the prompt to get the feedback I needed, and yet I didn't know what feedback I needed. And you live in this place where it's like, even if you say, I don't know what feedback I need, what can you tell me about this? It will tell you something. But it didn't feel extremely useful or helpful after those few iterations there. So I've decided not to use that anymore. There was some novel insights about its feedback, which I agreed with. Some things I didn't. But the conversation is that it's trying to please me. It's trying to do what I tell it to do. And good feedback, good critique is not about that. It's about trying to find the source of the goal. And the ChatGPT, it doesn't really know that. It's just mimicking. And so that's where I stand. I don't feel the need to use it outside of it being an interesting tool for writing. I have used it. I still continue to use it. It helps me write code when I need code. It writes me a 14-day meal plan. I used it to help me learn Japanese. I consider it a very useful tool, and I'm interested to see how it develops over the years and how our relationship with it will change over time, which is why I'm hesitant to put my foot firmly on one side or the other, because it's going to change. The technology is going to evolve. It's going to move forward, and that's just the nature of how these things go. Look at all the people who really didn't want mobile phones or the internet all those years ago, and look where we are now. Very few of those people remain. Most of them have the phone, have the internet, have the credit card. We adopt the new technology because it makes our lives easier. So hopefully it makes our lives easier, but it doesn't make us any worse off. That's my hope. Thanks for listening. I tried to keep this under 10 minutes, so I'll see you next week.